Good morning. You're welcome to today's editions of You Decide, where this is the program that sort of give you facts, information, analysis about events and commentaries on things that is happening around us, not just only in London, but in Africa and other parts of the world. Well, where do we start? A lot of things that happened in the past 7 days. But before we start, let me just say thank you to all our viewers, especially those that have been calling in and Skyping. And we do appreciate all of you. And you will remember that before you sort of speak to us, make sure you sort of reduce the volume of your TV. It's quite help us to ensure that we hear you better. Well. Both here in the United Kingdom and the United States, and even in faraway Nigeria, a lot of things has happened so far. Well, let me start by saying, for me, the biggest story so far is on the plate of President Obama. Who is going to be the next CIA director? That is a big question that he needs to sort out now. And in Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan has to sort out the famous Ribadu report. And then, in the United Kingdom here, we know that some people have alleged that most of the utility companies have been fiddling with, the market prices of gas and electricity. So the Prime Ministers and the Energy Secretary, had to sort that one out. But before we go into the details of today's program, let me welcome our panelists in the studio. Last week, we were not privileged to have her around, but I can say she's here in person, Priscilla Nwifo. Priscilla, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Doc. It's good to be back. I must apologize for not being here last week, but it's good to be back. Good day.
So also we have your favorite, well, some people's favorite. He always speaks truth to power, our very own Otumba Bode Oseni. Otumba, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, viewers.
Well, I have a deep sigh of relief in seeing what has been happening so far because I have not been involved, let me say, in whatever form so far. But let's start the program with sort of looking at, our sort of peak of the week. I have 2 peaks, storylines to tell our viewers today. One is things that happen in faraway Kenya. They've just had a very new, shining, and bright train system in Nairobi, Kenya. And that put to shame some African states. Not just only that train is shining and new, even the ticketing system is electronic. Nairobi has a population of 3 million, relatively small compared to some other African countries. If you compare it to Cairo, which has about 18 million, or you compare it to Lagos, which has a population of about 11 or 12 million.
18, isn't
it? 18. Some people say 18 million for Lagos. And it cannot boast a very functioning modern train system. There's train in Lagos, but whether it's a functioning one, and we have to say that Governor Fashola is putting in place some train around Badagry Express Road, but we're looking forward to that one. So I have to say congratulations to our brothers in Kenya for sorting this one out, and we hope that they will enjoy these train facilities. The other big story that I have to mention is a report that was published by the International Energy Agency in Paris. And the reason why I have to mention the report is that it says that, let's say in the next 20 or 18 years' time, the United States is going to be net exporter or importer of oil. Now, that raises a lot of questions. Not just only for the United States, because it means that it's going to be energy sufficient, but it's going to reduce its reliance on foreign oil. And we all know that it relies on Saudi Arabia oil. But more importantly, about 80% of crude oil that Nigerian sells go to the United States. So, if you are to be a policymaker in Nigeria today, and you are thinking ahead of the next 20 years, you need to start thinking about, if the United States do not need your oil, what are you going to do with it? And not just only the United States, even the United Kingdom might not need it. Russia might not need it, and they don't even need it anyway. China might need some, but they are working on it. So, President Jonathan, you need to think ahead. And people that in the petroleum industry, before we come into Ribadu report, they have to take it very seriously, the wider implications of the United States becoming a self-reliant nation on oil and gas, not just only oil and gas as well. Well, Priscilla, what is your peak story of the week?
I think my peak story of the week it's lighter than yours, actually. It was coming across a YouTube clip of a child, which I think was no more than 6, crying because her parents did not vote for Obama. And she was insisting that they should have voted for Obama, and insisted that they must go back to the polling station and vote for Obama because he is the president and not Romney. And I just, it just made me to think, what does this 6-year-old understand, and what is it that's causing her? And she wasn't acting. She looked like she meant it, and I thought that was very interesting. How our children perceive things and their understanding, and how much they take in the things that are going on around them. And sometimes we just seem to think that, they're just kids and they're not aware.
Yeah, before I come to Otuba, if I can just add to it, I don't know whether our viewers will remember that little girl called Abby, who, before the election, was saying that she was tired of Bronco Obama and Mitt Romney.
Yes.
I think there was another clip on the YouTube that her mom told her that the election was over. And if you see, the innocence in her, say, well, thank God.
I've had enough.
But it raises some larger questions in terms of a 6-year-old American girl knows about what is happening politically in the United States.
Yes.
So African 6-year-old or 6-year-old Africans know as much, or are they sort of not bothered, or are they not getting the information that this is required?
Well, that is a question that we really need to answer in Africa, because just this week also I came across a story that the INEC chairman was saying that political parties in Nigeria actually budget within their budget the amount to bribe him with, or his officials with, in order to be able to ensure that they win the election. And I just thought to myself, wow, here we are, a 6-year-old crying because of who she wants to be president, and her parents must vote for that. And here we are in another country, adults, instead of fighting for political understanding, and instead of budgeting to educate those that need it, they are budgeting rather to ensure that they bribe the right people, and so that they will get in. I think it's amazing.
Well, maybe we need to sort of discuss that one at a later program. Also, if I may come to you, what is your lighter story or light story of the week so far?
Mine also is about the re-election of Obama. And also there are 2 clips I also wanted to talk about. There is this 90-year-old man who collapsed while he was queuing up to cast his vote.
Okay.
And when he was revived, the first question he asked was, have I voted?
Ooh, what's that serious?
Yes. You see, there's a lot of lessons to be learned in that.
Yeah.
That is one. Then the second one is also a senator who is a Republican senator, and the wife is a Democrat. And of course, there are these arguments of who to vote for. As much as the husband was unable to convince the wife to vote for Mitt Romney, the wife was also unable to convince the husband. So they ended up voting for their choices. Yeah. And the third one is, and this is very, the former president who mistakenly voted for the president.
Of which country?
Yeah, America. The former president, George Bush, mistakenly voted for the president. It's on the news.
Voted for Obama.
For Obama.
Why? Could he not read Republican?
Well, when he now realized that he made that mistake,
only George Bush.
Then he went back and wanted to change and say, well, sorry, sir, the vote has been cast and that's it. So 1 vote for Obama. So these are my pick. And again, we talk about education.
Yeah.
As you can see, it makes you feel good. Most of us who live in Europe or in civilized countries, that the amount of premium, the amount of effort, the amount of money put into educating the people, the masses, because they are the one driving the politics, the governance of the country. You cannot little great. You cannot leave them behind. You must take them along. You must get them informed. It is because the amount of information an average citizen of these countries have that helps so many problems.
I mean, they are so bombarded, aren't
Yes.
they?
So, and we doing in our own country, we're not sitting here criticizing these people, but this is fact. These are things they are doing that is not right. An average electorate in Nigeria is beset only with the problem of what he wants to eat. He doesn't even know. He doesn't know how far he can go with his rights, and because the education we give them is just almost nothing. So,
well, we will come to that one. I think for the benefit of our viewers, especially those that are not living in London, tomorrow there's going to be an election for police and crime commissioner.
Yeah.
So we will encourage you to vote for a candidate of your choice. And I've seen a lot of leaflets in my house in Kent. So in other parts of the country, there will be an election for police and crime commissioner. The job of the police and crime commissioner is to sort of look at the strategy for crime and policing in your area, hire and fire who your police commissioner is going to be. So it's a huge responsibility that he or she is going to take. And therefore, it's effective because we know that crime affects everybody. Well, let's come back to most of the discussion today. Let me start with, nearly a Hollywood style of event in the United States of America. It's very simple. The story is just as simple as anything. A four-star general, or ex-general of the United States Army, West Point educated, 1974 graduate, PhD in Princeton, 1987 in international relations. Headed the forces in Afghanistan and Iraq, wrote the so-called counterinsurgency doctrine, and then a very young Harvard undergraduate or graduate who was doing a PhD dissertation on leadership, got close to this general. His name is General David Petraeus. And along the line, they got together again, and then for whatever reason, things happened. To the extent that Paula Broadwell suspected that another lady was getting too close to the general. And she sent an email to this lady, Jill Kelly, and then that Jill Kelly informed somebody in the FBI. And the FBI started digging, because the FBI thought it was more or less of a cybercrime. Somebody was trying to hack into somebody's email. Well, to cut a very long story short, it now transpired that David was having an affair with Paula. And the matter, as we know now, the head of the CIA, or ex-head of the CIA, he resigned from that post, and then he's living happily, more or less, with his wife now. But there's a lot of, other things that is bubbling under the surface with that one. But the question we want to sort of focus on today, or the issues will be more or less on twofold. One is on what drives most of all these great men to do things like that, the risk. The second area we want to focus on is on the accountability, because as soon as the man or the story became public, he resigned diligently and came clean. So let me start with you, Priscilla. What do you think make it impossible for some of the great men? Because if you go back to history, as far back, my history book tells me that some of us who know Trafalgar Square, Admiral Nelson stands on top of Trafalgar Square.
Yeah.
When he was in Paris after the Battle of Trafalgar, there was a story between Admiral Nelson and Lady Emma Hamilton. So also in recent times, we know that former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, had something to do with Monica Lewinsky.
He did not have sexual
relations. I said had something to do with Monica Lewinsky. To come back home here in the UK, we all remember our former Deputy Prime Minister, John Prescott, having something to do with somebody else. And even the late Foreign Secretary, Robin Cook.
Yes. Don't forget John Major.
Well. Somebody who said that the clean man of British politics, the ex-Prime Minister, John Major, and Edwin Akori, which the story came, I think, 18 years later.
And also the king-to-be, remember, with his wife,
His
Robinson.
current wife now.
Well, that's
No.
a very... Yeah, you're talking about Prince Charles and...
His uncle, the
yeah.
one that's supposed to.
Oh.
Yeah, that's also again.
Well, I mean, we can fill a whole book or a whole program with the list and names of great men that have sort of, quote and unquote, decides to eat on the other side of the bench. Well, Priscilla, what do you think responsible for most of these great men to not sort of be satisfied with home-baked cookies?
Do you know, I think I'm at a disadvantage to answer that question. I think that question is best answered by a man. Because like you've rightly said, let's go as far back as even over 2,000 years ago. The good book tells us that, you know, this is something that men have been known to participate in, and it seems to be a favorite pastime. It seems to be something that I should be asking you, the gentleman.
No. I mean, it takes two to tango. There are always two in this party.
But you see, what is it that you've just described this man that seems to have had it all? You know, most people will say Bill Clinton had it all. Everybody, all of those that you've mentioned, they had it all. They had the power, they had the money, they had, you know, they had it all. So what is it that some, I don't know, 20-year-old, 25, 30, she would just walk by and suddenly, you know, captivates everything, and they are willing to risk everything? And I think, you know, he resigned. I'm glad that he resigned as quickly as he did. He was a very wise man. Let's not prolong this story. Let me just go about my business. It was shut down as quickly as possible. It happened. I can't change it. And I think it was good. There's no point in arguing about it. Rather than having everybody throwing in their penny's worth, which everybody are trying to do, the man just, you know, he just called it and went. And I salute him for that. But I think, you know, the first question is really one that we should be asking the men.
Well,
I should be asking both of you, what is it that causes men to have it all, but this 25-year-old, the 30-year-old, however old she is, it doesn't matter, 40, you know, she can still have the ability to change all that at the click of a finger. Gentlemen,
well, Otumba, the question is now left in your patch.
What is it that, you know, makes a man?
Priscilla, what I mean by that is this. There's this thing which I don't know.
Chemical reaction in the brain.
Well, be it chemical
There's
reaction in the brain,
there's something.
also magnetic thing, or something that makes men. Because we listed people of high caliber,
high repute,
falling for that one next to women. You understand? So it is a very difficult one.
They fall victim to this being.
Yeah.
By the way, they often have a version at home.
Well, that is what I'm trying to suggest. Why is it so difficult to sort of be satisfied with the home-baked cookies? Is it? Let's broaden the discussion. Is it part of the man nature?
We should ask the viewers. Perhaps they can provide some.
I know, because I'm not ashamed to say this. I went through this
stage
with my first marriage.
Right.
And unfortunately, everything gone haywire, and the result was not exactly what I thought it would be. So that's why I'm saying I might not be the very kind of a person, but one thing I want to say to all men out there: do not let us kid ourselves. Do not pick the phone and phone. I'm the only exception. Do not, because there's certain experience
you've never been in that position. Until you've been in that position, exactly. It's very difficult for you to know.
There's this experience you cannot buy. I've been through this different process in life, and I know I have friends and family who are men like myself, and I know what we discuss, and I know the reactions when a sweet 20 goes by an average man. Usually, even be it white, black, or yellow, or Mexican, they usually look back and say, "Wow," you know. So,
but what is
this wow? The wow, if the wow were to be accompanied by yes,
No. Why can't the wow stop because there's a version at home? Why does the wow have to continue? Why is it not enough to say wow
and that's it?
And you say, oh, that's a fine, breed or species of a woman,
unfortunately,
and you forget
even
about
we
it.
did not even list some of the religious leaders. You did not even include them.
Well, I think
so there's
I
so
can
many.
only list those ones
yes.
that are in the public domain.
Oh, yeah.
So even those
Definitely. So what is it that causes at that initial point?
Priscilla, I'm sorry, it's so difficult for me to explain.
Well, let me broaden the discussion.
Yes.
I mean, some people will say, and some academic studies are proving this ones, that by its very nature,
right,
man as hunter-gatherer are always looking for possibilities and empire to build an empire and to sort of try and test out new things, as it were. And in that case, it is parts of their gene, to want to do something, different and extra. On the other hand, it's very difficult for them to sort of, hold back, as it were, because it is more or less part of their inbuilt. So there are certain things that you cannot necessarily control.
Let me ask you this, because as you're speaking, my brain is ticking, and I'm thinking to myself, when you said, they want to try out new things, so then I'm wondering, okay, this telephone, for instance, yes, it will come, a newer version will come out.
Every other 2 years or one, even 6 months.
A newer
now.
version will come out, but it doesn't change the fact that it's a phone. It doesn't change the fact that, you're just going to, most of what you will do is to make and receive calls, and of course nowadays it's standard to receive your email. So, it doesn't change that. So what is it, when you say trying out new thing, my brain is ticking and I'm thinking, that's not the same as saying, let me try out a laptop. It's not the same as saying, let me try out the pads, the various iPads and stuff. It's not the same to try a new electronic gadget. As a human being, it's a human being. What is it that is?
Well,
boredom?
I use a metaphor.
I know. So is it boredom?
I also want to add, for some reasons, again, the ratio of the men that will philander, that will want to try a new thing, a new gadget, they are high. I mean, they are more than the women side who also want to say, well, let me try another thing. So it is a business that is
a business
between both men and women. But let me not forget the other point I want to contribute. Now, here is this general you just described who has it all, who has the best of everything.
It could even potentially the next president of the United States.
Who also married to also a highly educated wife who is doing doing very well in charity and also very supportive now after 38 years. So sometimes you don't want to blame them and say you'll be using the same gadgets, I'm not encouraging you, don't misunderstand me and don't start looking at me like that.
Well,
how am I looking at you?
So because you use that gadget and the gadgets every 6 months, the gadgets are changed now.
But sir, you make it, as you see, it's a two-way street because the woman too, should she not renew her gadgets as well?
Well,
but most women will say no, my version is fine. I'm okay with this. But the men
agree,
will.
And I agree.
That's why I'm.
Yeah, and that's why I said with full respect, women, the level of women that will want to try another gadget is lesser than that of men.
Well, but is it fair to say at one level that most, especially these great men, because of the fact that they take a lot of risk, they see something of that nature as part of risk taking. It's part of the thing that is inbuilt in them. I mean, they might not consider the consequences, or they consider the consequences, but because as part of their DNA, I'm not justifying, I'm not rationalizing it. I'm just saying that what makes the difference, and according to some psychologists, what makes the difference between a man and a woman is that we have a different chromosomes, we have a different DNAs, and you can only express what is inside of you. Now, some men have the capacity or the ability to be able to stay within the boundaries of marriage, whether married or unmarried. On the other hand, some men are unable to do that, and some women, to be fair, are unable to do that as well. But as I said, going back to history, most of these men, they are the ones that are sort of, risk takers. They want to do things. They want to take new challenges. It would be fair to say, and more or less academic points now, to say that if they're a very good risk takers, it's part of the decision-making process to sort of go into that. They don't really necessarily look at the moral compass of it. They see it as part of the things that they are taking risk on.
It's, seeing it, going back to what you said earlier about the man being the hunter and conquering. So, most of them see it as can I conquer this? Am I able? Let's see, some of them...
They see it as a challenge. Initially, it was a challenge.
Call it a challenge, a game. It's fun. It's it's a risk, and it's either going to be positive or negative. And I suppose they throw it all up and just think, let's see how it goes.
But then again, we must also not forget
But the damage.
that it is not a one-man business.
That's true. That's another
We
point.
must not also forget.
Yeah, but the decision is a one-man's business.
No, I don't think so.
It is, because...
I will disagree as much as...
I mean, the Paula Broadwell is a married woman.
Exactly.
She's married.
Exactly.
She's married to a physician with
but
two
I'm
sons.
sure she didn't hold a gun to his head.
No.
No.
Exactly.
I mean, the
So
man
the
did not go.
decision-making process, that's a one-man business. Because you choose.
Priscilla, I will not...
The other person have to be in agreement, but you don't have to go ahead with it. When you go ahead with it, that's when it becomes two people.
Yeah.
But it's still your choice to begin with.
Yeah,
It starts with you.
If Paula, if that the other
Paula
lady...
Broadwell, yeah.
If she had not agreed to this...
That's true.
probably
It
we
wouldn't
will
have
not be
happened.
discussing these.
Yeah, it wouldn't have happened. Yeah.
So, like I said, the amount of men that want to go out, wanting to conquer or do whatever, asking for, are higher than the woman. But the moment that woman or woman agree to the request, then becomes co-directors. They are together.
Well, let's
whatever it is.
Let me talk about the moral aspect. I wanted to use that also. Now, again, here we are seeing these two people or many people that took responsibility for their action. And that is the lesson I want to discuss. Unlike other countries, Africa, where you do it, even men would take the wife or wives of their servants, their drivers, people who are below them, and they do it with ignominy, with impunity. Yeah. And again, those are still part of what we need to learn as Africans. That fine, the activities in Europe with the European men or civilized men are the same with us. We have the same DNA.
Yeah.
But
Same
then
gene.
the same gene. But how do we react if we are caught red-handed?
Well, I think
that is the
We've never heard of any African leaders, and I need to be corrected. When we open the telephone lines, we want our viewers to call in on this one. I'm yet to see any African leaders that resigns on this issue, on something of this nature.
on the moral.
Yes,
high
on the
ground
basis of
and-
moral grounds.
Yeah, and also.
Why was it impossible for them to do that? I mean,
Well, it's not impossible for them to do that. I think what it is, we see in Africa a lot. There's this huge divide between the public and those that lead, and it's the divide of, because if you are in tune with the people and their views and opinions matter, you also appreciate the responsibility of the office that you hold and what comes with that, because to whom much is given, much is expected, and that there is a standard that comes enthralled with that office and that duty, and that standard there's a requirement, and it should be maintained and respected. But because the standards and the responsibility is not attached to the office.
okay. Well, let's. We want to go on a break. A very short one. But when we come back, we want to open the discussions to our viewers. The discussion is, why is it so difficult for some of these great men to stick to their wife and then take the honorable part and resign like the general did in the United States? Well, we'll be back very shortly. It is you decide.
MoneyGram is here to help. That's why we offer fast and affordable money transfers around the world to bring you closer to the ones you love. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
My name is Ade Afolabi.
We speak the Queen's English, none of that hablas Espanol nonsense.
Was he rapping or talking?
We will come to New York and bless your children.
So you want to tell me that guy brought you all the way from Nigeria to this place to put me under a budget?
Man, I don't chop big chop up for you.
Just because I'm Nigerian doesn't make me a criminal.
This is what you come here. How?
Hey, what the hell's the matter with you, boy?
How you want to beat me? You do not beat me in Nigeria. It is here. You want to come and beat me. Your cousin, eh? All right. You are in America. Use your brain. You're not in Nigeria.
I did not lay a finger on her. I didn't lay a finger on her.
Bad news says your wife filed for divorce.
I will never accept someone that has no traceable roots. Because Ade is my husband.
I did not lay a finger on you. Are you
Hey!
And hey, you got African roots too.
Attention all mobile phone users. Lebara Mobile brings you the offer you've all been waiting for. Lebara Unlimited. Unlimited Nigeria calls and texts? Check. Unlimited UK calls and texts? Check. And unlimited data? Check. All this for only £39 per month. Price limited, benefits unlimited. Get yours now at lebara.co.uk/unlimited. Also available at Carphone Warehouse and Phones for You.
You are invited to Liberty Church to experience healing, deliverance, and transformation by the power of God. Liberty Church, House of Miracles, Blessings, and Joy.
He's here to protect you, to preserve you, and to provide for you. All we need to do is praise Him, pray to Him, and preach His word. You will always need God. Come now and then be blessed.
Liberty Church, Frobisher Road, Turnpike Lane, N80QN. www.libertychurchlondon.org.
Well, you're welcome back to You Decide. We've been talking about the event in the United States where General David Petraeus have to resign the office of the director or the chief of the CIA because of the extramarital affair. Well, we have in the studio Godson Azu. Godson, you're welcome to the program.
Good morning, viewers.
Well, let me sort of put you on the spot as Priscilla put Otumba on the spot in the last segment. The question was, why was it difficult for a man to eat the cookies that is freshly baked at home? You know, why was it difficult for them to stick to that?
I would say that the whole thing boils down to self-discipline, and now withstanding, it has its own spiritual connotations. If you look back to biblical history, David has been regarded as one of the most favored of all men of God. Fell. Just because one of his general's wife was having a bath with window open, and David saw. So it is a vice versa. Before a man can lust after a woman, the woman must have opened up something that the man sees.
Oh, please.
Wait a minute. At least hold the point. No, don't worry. At least I'll come back to you on that.
And that is the reason why sometimes I don't blame some of these Muslim sects who tell their wife to cover head to toe. From everywhere, only your eye. You can only see with the eye. Let me see the man, what he will see and follow you. You get me? Because in the olden days, women cover themselves with linen. And this linen are transparent most of the time. You get me? So what you see, you follow it. Today, you see women.
Yes.
They wear this. Women go and pay money in order to make their buttocks very attractive. Some pay to make their boob very attractive. Why are they making it attractive? Is it not to attract a man? You see, in the office, bosses are very difficult now to stay in the office confidently. Your secretary comes in, she's leaning and showing you the big boo-boo. What do you mean? The man cannot withstand pressure for more than 1 year.
That's your threshold.
You can't. You need self-discipline. You need spiritual mindset in order to overcome the pressure that the women. Look, it is 1 to 100. That is the population of women to man globally. So the pressure is on the men.
And even the TV advert is not helping the matter as well.
You can't blame a man who told a woman to write his biography. What do you expect? My history. 24 hours you are after me. The man will fall.
And she
Men of God fell.
Exactly.
Kenneth Hagin. They fell.
Swaggart.
With Jimmy Swaggart. They all fell with their secretaries and their PA. And that is why some men these days, they prefer to have men PA than have women PA. Because you cannot withstand the pressure. To all men there, it is not easy. Mm-hmm. It is not easy. Don't let us pretend.
Exactly. I said that.
Let us be natural as we can and be humble to ourselves. This general was thinking that he can cover up. Mm-hmm. There is no secret under the sun that you can ever cover. You can only protect it for a while at an appointed time.
Well, thank you, Godson. Let me come back to Priscilla. Do you think that if men were to go through the Islamic tradition of, let's say, a man marrying 4 wives, or the women, covering their faces from head to toe, their body head to toe, do you think that one will minimize the risk?
Well, you see, I still don't understand this pressure that Azu speaks of. No. And I still don't understand. Of course, you're a man.
And he understands.
Naturally, he will, and I won't. And I still don't understand what that thing is that gets the man so tripped up that 1 will pass, 2 will pass, 3 will pass, and one man can react to all of them. It doesn't matter what the shape, the size. It doesn't matter,
where the DNA argument comes from.
This is it. So this is what I'm saying, that I don't understand what that is, that you can react to, 5 different women that they walk past you. And this business of them being covered, if that will make a change, I don't think it makes a difference.
Because
I think... You ask a question. Let her finish the
I'm
line
not sure that it makes a difference, because I think it would, I may be wrong, appear to me that for some men, the moment they can identify that this is a woman, they're off. It doesn't really matter whether she fits a certain type
category or something.
Yeah, that doesn't seem to be a factor.
But I want to ask you a question. Otumba, what's your question?
I have asked many women this question.
Okay.
When a woman decides to overdress, sometimes they dress to kill.
You mean underdress?
Overdress. When they put up so many gadgets,
something
like
glaring.
Even some of the gadgets
like the artificial things.
What you call that? Extended something.
The eyelashes.
Eyelashes.
Yeah.
What is your question?
The question what's the question? Why are you dressing in such a manner that an average man look at you and say, wow. And there are also some women, that will dress and a man will not even recognize them.
That is true. But what I find interesting is, even when a man recognizes that everything she's got on is not real, that it will come off, it still doesn't stop them. Because recognizing that this is fake, that is standing before me, should be enough to say, I'm not seeing the real thing, so let me not go there. That's not enough to deter. That's number 1. Number 2, to your question, some women, yes, I agree, some women do underdress, as I call it, because they expose everything. That's not dressing, that's exposing yourself. There's a difference. But where we see women that are fully dressed from top to toe, they're well dressed. Some may be wearing a trouser suit with a shirt. They're fully covered, and they don't have much, on display. And it is still a problem for some men. Now, that is what I don't understand. That's what I'm having. That's what I would like to learn. What is it that tricks men? Because sorry, sir. I just want to also say that, yes, there are some very good men out there. That it doesn't matter what shape, size goes past them. They've made up their mind. I didn't see that. That's them. They're like, yeah, it was nice, but move on.
and there are some that just can't
Godson,
resist.
let me ask you this question. In terms of the United States, we know that General Petraeus has resigned, and to conform with the practices of if you get caught in United States. But in most of the African or most of African leaders, even if they were caught red-handed and they are holding public offices, they will not resign. Even it's a sign of showing off or symbol or their authority. Why can't we sort of take a leaf from the U.S. experiences in terms of, although the discretion might be against you and your wife, but there is a sort of political and implication for it, and the honorable things to do would be for them to resign. Why is it so difficult for African leaders to do that?
For me, I don't see why we should bring into comparison
But this is about responsibility.
The sense of belonging and directions or cultural ethics of some developed world or the Western countries to Africa. Africa is a continent where, not to an extent, at least to an extent, yeah, because if you look at Jacob Zuma.
Yeah, the president of the South
By now,
South
he
Africa.
shouldn't be a president because of some level of atrocities he has committed, even with women that are still nakedly looking at him now. He shouldn't be a president. If you look at people like Robert Mugabe, he shouldn't be a president by now, to the level of what immoral commitment he has committed.
Well, allegedly, we can't, we can't
you may say
substantiate that
allegedly,
on
but they are facts.
Yeah, we can't substantiate it on air, so
they are facts.
let's be fair to them.
They are facts. Sorry. Even our own General Olusegun Obasanjo, people like that, you understand? But you see, it all boils down to moral ethics. It all boils down to moral ethics and principles of life.
Okay, I will come back to you to expatiate on these moral ethics. Let me quickly take some call. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Don.
Why do you think it is impossible for men to sort of stick to their wives or to sort of, take a blind to this type of activities?
I think there will be no excuse for the men to begin to maybe have a kind of interest with the women. Having said that, something I really point out. When you started this program, there are some key things you mentioned, which is of public interest. All of a sudden, you people just relate to this. What you mentioned earlier was the issue of the gas. Why is that the gas here, the amount of money we are paying is too high? That's one. Secondly, you will not compare it with jailers back home. Why is that the issue of Rubani's report is not being addressed? Those were the key issues. Who were anticipating or just to see if you'll be able to analyze something. All of a sudden, you just came. If you now begin to look at what concerns this issue of gas and both Jonathan and Colisi is still at home, not
Well, I mean, sorry to interject you. What we're trying to, you have to sort of identify the issues and see what the lessons that can be learned. In this particular case, is the issue of responsibility and accountability. And most of the African leaders, if they are found wanting in office, they don't act the same way like the United States or the general has acted in terms of resigning his post. That is the key issue here, because that is what leadership is all about. It's about being responsible for your action.
Yes, Dr. Tony, well, if you have to put things in order of importance, that is not what would be concerning the public.
Now let me quickly interject, please. Can you ask him to please hold on, please? I want to.
Otumba want to say a few words. Otumba want to say a few words.
Mr. Kola, good morning, sir. Now, the part of the problem we are facing as Africans or as Nigerians, let me say this clearly, is part of not taking responsibilities, not taking responsibility for our actions and not being responsible for our actions, and also showing the sense of not being accountable to our people. What we are trying to allude to here, what we are trying to say here, what we are trying to discuss here is to show that here are countries, countries of this world, and like Nigeria, where Nigerian politician, Nigerian commissioner, chairman, legislator will do certain things and they do not care. You know, we are trying to show that people should care, people should take responsibility.
And they should be responsible
they should be responsible. Action. It is very, very important, sir. It's because that is the problem of our problem. I mean, that is part of our problem, why we don't have basic things of life.
That's
why a majority of our people are suffering. Here in America, this is a man who had it all. He could take advantage of that young lady. He could also take advantage that the president did not ask him to resign. He could have chosen to stay put. Sir, I want to submit that this is a very, very important part of the problem we want to address.
Well, I think, thank you very much, Otumba. What we are trying to say is this. There is a difference between public and private morality.
Yes.
But when you get to certain positions of authority, when you hold those authority, then if you are on the side of, indiscretions, there's a responsibility. And what the general has shown, or his example has shown, is that if you hold a position of responsibility, you have to think about the consequences. Because as the director of the CIA, you could be prone to blackmail.
Yes.
There are so many things that could be used against him.
Exactly.
Now, he saw it deemed fit, having, gone through this process and say, well, I have a responsibility to my country. Because that is what he did. His responsibility was to the United States, and he resigned his post. Now, I'm yet to be convinced or yet to see any African leaders that have be seen of any of those nature. Even when they have embezzled so much money, public money, they still go back into office and still claim to be the big men. Now, if we are talking about the issue of bread and butter, as important as those are, if you are not solving the fundamental problem of responsibility and accountability in office, then we are doing ourselves a disservice.
If I may say something there, is what we are trying to say is how we can put into limelight.
Yes.
Yeah, the differences between the way we manage our affairs.
That's right.
From what is happening in the Western world and what's happening back home in the African continent, because we are living in a global village. So whatever happens in one point affects the other point, no matter whatever the distance is. So if you look at the issue regarding to people resigning humbly from office, either because of lack of performance or because of some moral indiscretion or justifications, you understand? It is very low pertaining to African leaders. But you remember, during Obasanjo's regime, Okonjo-Iweala left the government because of some level of misunderstanding or policy disagreement between herself and Obasanjo's government. And she said she can continue with that. You understand? Of last week, there have been protests in Abuja. There was protests right in front of her ministry of civil society demanding that she resign because she is even performing worse than what she did when she was in Obasanjo's government. They are demanding that she has not turned any economy around in Nigeria. Her policy has not moved the common man from where he is economically to the next level. So if she cannot do that in 1 year or 2 years that she has been there or whatever, she has to leave and give somebody a chance to.
Well, that is the issue. Let me quickly take.
So it's an issue of why are they not?
Well, let me quickly take this call. Good morning, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Paul. I'm calling from Northampton.
Yeah, don't you think that there's an obligation and responsibility on some of the African leaders? If they're underperforming or if they be seen to be wanting in public office, they need to take a leave from General Petraeus, irrespective of the matter.
Yeah, my take on that is that you've been talking about responsibility and accountability. But my own perspective to that is in the environment where there is higher demand for accountability, there will be higher supply of responsibility. In Africa, the demand for accountable to people because the votes of people, the people did not count in the first place. So they can do whatever they like. But in the case of the general, so an agency like FBI is already involved. They have to resign. Otherwise, it will hurt him more. And the case will not come up before the election of Obama. We don't know what could have even happened. So somebody like that cannot even aspire to hold office, a public office.
Well, thank you very much. I think you
higher demand for accountability.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you raised a very important point in terms of how do we ensure that in Africa there is a huge demand or people demand accountability of their leaders. Priscilla.
Well, I mean, from the statement that what Sir Azu said earlier about the fact that people were protesting outside the office of the
Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance, and you know, it stems from education and understanding. Now, he could not maintain that position because he was in effect. It's a very, very sensitive position that he held, and he was in effect, you know, compromising that, because how much information, they're highly trained and they're not supposed to, you know, obviously speak about their jobs and whatnot to third parties and all of that. But once you become so intimate with somebody, who's to say what you're likely to say? So that you know, called for and demanded that he took responsibility as quickly as possible. He probably wouldn't have been able to, you know, hold on to that job for much longer anyhow, you know, because of the position he held. But yes, it does call for, in Africa, in order for us to get to this point where, you know, it's when we begin to demand for it. When somebody is standing outside the office and saying, no, you cannot continue in this position because you are not doing what you're supposed to do, it's unacceptable. When the public begins to rise up and says, this is not acceptable and we are not going to welcome it. But somehow, in some African society, it is actually celebrated. And you know, they salute it, they turn a blind eye, they seem to think it's okay.
Well, Otumba,
it's not a big deal.
The last caller says that until we begin in Africa to make a demand for higher accountability, because the difference between what the United States example has shown is that there's a higher demand for accountability. How can the people ensure that they demand accountability from their leaders? What can they do? God, I mean, civil society are always there. But what are the things that ordinary people can do to ensure that their leaders are accountable for their performance in office?
Priscilla just said it. Education. Educating the electorate, educating the people to know their rights is very, very important.
But after education, you need to make a demand for it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because now you can only make a demand for what you know you want. You cannot make a demand when your main preoccupation is hunger, how to survival, bread and butter, and all that kind of thing. But you and I, four of us here, we talk, we disseminate information to millions of our viewers. We tell them opinions. We share with them what's supposed to be done, how it can be done. You understand me? That they're able to do it is another level. Most of our people, most Nigerians, let's stick with Nigeria. Most Nigerians, they have no even time to even read the constitution or the local manuals or whatever. Yes. They don't. Unlike here, where you are bombarded with so many information outlets. You understand me? All the stations, all the newspapers are so designed in such a manner that they will educate an average citizen in this country.
Otumba.
So based on that one, then they can ask for. Nigerians, we don't have that.
Let me come to Godson on this point. You manages or lead Ring for Change, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, not of now.
Yeah. I think what I'm trying to infer is that you are part of the civil society. Yeah. One of the responsibility of a civil society is to make a demand on the people that are in power. Yeah. Now, to what extent are the civil society in Nigeria, with the exception of the people in the human rights group, are making the demands on the elected leaders? I mean, like for instance, let's say in the UK, there is an organization called Taxpayer Alliance. All they focus on is how the public, the government spend the money, and that is what they do. They don't do things on human rights. Everything the Taxpayer Alliance is doing is about looking at the expenditures and the revenue of the government and make a demand that you need to spend this money judiciously on behalf of the people. Why is it impossible for us to have civil society in Nigeria that focus on issues, practical issues, like this issue of accountability, like the issue of performance, like this of electricity? There has to be an NGO in Nigeria that its main preoccupation will be to start calling on government every day, 24/7, electricity, power.
How do I put it? Say undermining the fact that Nigerians are not focused on creating an organized civil society structures that will be able to challenge the government and also engage the common citizens of the society to be involved in what is going on within their local community, their enlarged community, and their wider society. The fact is that is for us to be able to understand the actual pursuant of most of these civil society organizations. Some of them are bent on for causes that are short-term, immediate gain, and not meant to benefit the common man in any essence. You find that people just gang up for one particular issue, they challenge the issue, they are sorted out by one big man or somebody, the matter dies off immediately, the matter reoccurs again, another group of people set up another agenda, and fine. So that's not a properly structured civil society organizations. We need it's just like what the anti-corruption body agency or whatever they call themselves.
But those ones are government organizations.
That is not a government. It's a civil society body.
Okay.
It's a civil society campaign organization that's campaigning against the government on challenges facing the society with regards to corruption and what the government is doing. Those are the group that managed the protests against Dr. Kojo Ewala last week at her ministry. You understand? Demanding that she must publish all the money that has been collected from corrupt people, from the oil subsidy or whatever. She must publish it. They have to tell us, they have to tell the civil society what they have been using the money to do and what the government intends to do with whatever is balancing of the money. If they cannot declare that, then she's not performing. So they made a lot of their requests to her. But unfortunately, when they got to the ministry, she was at the executive council meeting at Aso Rock. So they couldn't meet her. You understand? So it's not a Nigerian issue. It's an African all-inclusive problem.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think we've established that the civil society and the citizens at large need to make a demand on the people that rule and govern the country. The other thing is that the civil society needs to be more strategically focused in terms of the issues. As I said, the Taxpayer Alliance, there are so many of these organizations here that are focused on specific issues, like for instance, like Liberty here in the UK is always against, pursuing the human rights issue. Anytime you see them on TV, they're always talking about human rights. You know that is what they are there for. So there is a responsibility on civil society and organizations. We're about to go on a short break now. But when we come back, we want to talk about the Ribadu report.
This is the BVS show, and I'm Flower Abeni Omawale Ola.
To check out what's happening for yourself, stay tuned to this channel.
Ali.
Music, culture.
Alright, this is the straight.
Don't go anywhere.
Yes, it's true. Charlie Show is coming back to Ben TV.
What's the show called? Charlie Show. Charlie Show where?
Charlie Show.
You know Charlie Show?
Yeah. Watch everyone. Yeah. Charlie Show is the best. Charlie Show is the best. Charlie Show is the best. Charlie Show is the best.
Watch out.
London, stand up! JJ Barry Entertainment presents the first ever Edo Festival and Awards Ceremony, UK. Date, 15th December 2012. Venue, KLM Hall, Unit A1, Quebec Way, Surrey, London, SE167LF. Side attractions for the day include Governor of Edo State. For ticket purchase and sponsorship, call 074-0456-5863 or 079-0305-9998. www.edofestivaluk.co.uk.
Well, you're welcome back to You Decide. From this side of the segment, we're going to focus on the Ribadu report. The report is that the federal government set up a committee led by Malam Nuhu Ribadu to look at what's happening on oil sector, in particular, how Nigeria can recover most of the assets and money that has been owed to the petroleum industry or the federal government on that area. And about a month ago, thereabout, the committee finished the report, and I think they sent the report to the Minister for Petroleum. But for 1 month, according to the report we had, the Minister for Petroleum sat on that report. And a month later, the report found itself, in Reuters and AP. In other words, it was leaked to the outside world. And as a result of that, the federal government was caught slightly off-handed, and they have to ask Nuhu Ribadu to submit the report. About 2 weeks ago, the committee submitted the report, and it created a lot of issues. You have to watch the video clips when the committee was presenting the report to the president. And one of the committee members challenged the report in terms of the fact that it contains certain issues or certain errors or things like that. Nuhu Ribadu stood up and defended the report to the extent that he said that Mr. Oronsaye that challenged the report was not part of the deliberations, in terms of the committee activities. Well, that was that. The president got the report. But let's quickly highlight some of the key points that the report showed. And there were so many of them, but let me quickly focus on one of the things, because I have a copy of the report, the draft copy with me, and one is, number one, the tax fraud key findings are presented below according to this revenue stream. Number one, proceed from the sale of domestic crude oil. As at 31st of December 2011, 843 million was due to the Federation in respect of domestic crude oil allocation. The amount outstanding as at 31st of December 2001 represents amount due for the month of September 2001 to December 2011. In view of the 90-day credit period, the outstanding amount as at 31st of December was not due for payment. Number two, proceed from equity crude oil sales. Equity crude represents government share of crude oil production, excluding domestic crude, obtained from three arrangements: joint operations, joint agreement with IOC, product sharing, and service contract. And what does the committee found? A review of the NAPM's audited financial statement as at 31st of December 2009 showed that joint venture calls payable was 459.568 billion. Since 2006, government has not allocated enough funds to cover this amount, and NNPC has entered into a range of borrowing arrangements referred to as alternative financing arrangement with the cost of financing this debt. Number three, proceeds from the sale of the national entitlement gas. The task force, aided by the consultant, identified a total of 137.572 billion naira, or $946.87 million, due to the Federation from SNEPCO, representing this proceed of gas sale from Bonga oil field. Well, the list is going on. NNPC and subsidiary. The financial performance of the NNPC and its subsidiaries in 2009 shows that the group had a deficit of approximately 298 billion for the period. I mean, the list signature bonus. The tax force found that discretionary decision-making in the award of oil blocks can result in revenue losses for Nigeria. The DPR provided the tax force with information indicating that 67 licenses were awarded between 1st of January 2005 and December 31st, 2011, with an outstanding balance of 566 million unpaid in signature bonus. I mean, the list is, if we continue to read this one, it's not going to finish till tomorrow. Let me sort of read another one. Gas flare penalties. We also observed that the periodic reconciliation meeting with the operator to address the gas flare volumes were delayed, with only 6 of the gas operators completed of the 36 at the time of revenue. The total revenue from gas flaring during the period was 175 million, with the balance outstanding as unpaid was approximately 58 million. I mean, it's like, you have to ask yourself, how can a country continue to work if all these things are still being outstanding? Oh, not one of them has been able to say, okay, nobody is owing us. I mean, there's another one here. There's one on how we sell the oil. It says that Nigeria is the only country that sells its oil to market traders, unlike other countries whereby they have to sell to refineries. The list is endless. Priscilla, let me come back to you. Where do we go from here?
Isn't it amazing, as we were speaking earlier, had this happened elsewhere, heads would have been rolling by now. We would have had a series of resignations and people would have had to have lost their jobs. This report leaked from Nigeria, and it was heard of all over the world to begin with. So the question would have been who was responsible for it at the time that it went missing, and that head should have rolled. That's number one. And then number two, there's all this record. I mean, it's this whole saga. It's yet another embarrassing.
It's so amazing.
It's yet another embarrassing episode on Nigeria, because how can this be going on? And this is not, it didn't start today. It's been going on for such a long time, and everybody just turns a blind eye. Everybody just continues, and we say that the country is poor, and we say that we need aid, and Okonjo-Iweala is now directing more and more World Bank financing to Nigeria, more borrowing, by the way, when we should be fighting for these monies to be paid, and they should be used well. By now, there should have been a series of resignations. Every company involved should have been called to book, not squabbling. We shouldn't be squabbling over the content of who is being targeted and who is not. We shouldn't be squabbling over whether or not the president should be he's going to do something about it. Somebody should be able to take a decision that affects the people of Nigeria positively and do something about it. Not allow this saga to continually humiliate everybody that was born to that nation. It's a pity.
Well, let me just say that to balance things up, since the committee, was set up and before it reported, it says here, and it's clearly stated, however, during the debt reconciliation exercise, the sum of $5.8 million was placed into the treasury of government with evidence of payment, while several companies made undertaking to pay at a later date. In other words, with the setup of the committee, they've been able to recover like about $5.something million to recover. But we are talking about billions here and trillions in naira. Let me quickly take this call, Tumba, before I come to you, because we want to hear what our viewers are saying. Good morning, viewer. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning, sir.
And what is your contributions to this, Ribadu report and the brouhaha that he has generated? I mean, the list is endless.
This Ribadu report is not one. It's not the first time we are having reports in Nigeria. So as time goes on, you'll find out that it should go the same way others have gone.
The Lawan report, everybody knows that.
What did you cover from Abacha Blues? What happened to it? Let us ask the question. Who's holding on to that? What development did they use that money to do for Nigeria? Let us show us. The government, the PDP government or any government that is before now, should tell us what they use those money for. This thing is just, we are just wasting our time. There is no proposing leadership. All the leaders that are there now are just satisfying themselves at their own expense.
Okay, thank you very much for that call. Otumba, the last caller says that there is no leadership. And what the Ribadu report has shown is that there is a failure of leadership in managing petroleum, oil and gas in Nigeria. That was very evident. I mean, how can a country be running on this also, not collecting this also amount of money, not collecting this also amount of, as if these people that are owing this money, they are in a different world, or they live in Mars? Are they?
Yeah. Well, the Ribadu report clearly showed that the economy, the economy of the country, the resources which we rely on is being poorly managed. Managed in the sense that the income that we're supposed to get to use to develop the country is being siphoned somehow, is being badly managed. That is the bottom line of the whole thing. Because all the lists you are reading to these ordinary people out there, they might not understand all these, they might not have time to understand all the nitty-gritties of what you are saying. But the fact of the matter is, Ribadu has shown in his report that the billions of dollars that are supposed to be collected from the oil money are being misappropriated, are being misused, are being either collected and not used for what they are meant for. And who are the losers? The average Nigerian is the loser. They are the ones that have nothing to show for all these resources. And again, I quickly want to go back to where we started this morning by saying, and it is very sad, and it may be until when we get to that point when everybody is pushed to the wall, when we are being asked to use that our oil to drink gari, to use that oil to cook our soup, then maybe probably when we know that we have no more place to go, that the people will now rise up, will stand up, because it cannot continue like this. It cannot continue like this, making so much money and misappropriating it. And now, before you go,
let us hear from Godson. Now, Godson, I suspect you have read this report. If you have not read it,
I also read it.
You have heard it. I think the list is endless in terms of failure. Even it surprises me that the NNPC, the IT system, was like they were still using pen and paper to record the oil proceeds. Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. In 21st century,
they know what they are doing.
NNPC generates 80% of Nigerian revenue, not just only in local naira, in dollars. Now, and they are still using, it's in the report here, the IT gap, in terms of what the NNPC IT system is. Now, what is your take on this?
For me, I would say it is rather better now that we begin to have a constructive argument and a positive challenge to
about what
to so many systemic failure of the government and the entire public service.
No, we are talking about this Ribadu report.
Yeah, it's all about it.
No, let's focus on this report. There are so many things in this report.
Yeah, I mean, if the government has failed in having a consistent, coherent policy in terms of oil or gas or petroleum policies that will be able to tell them from time to time, this is where we are failing, this is where we are losing, this is where we are gaining. Because if there is a coherent policy that is being monitored and being fervently managed by a group of people, this whole thing will not be coming out now after 12 years. Because this whole process of oil mismanagement has been going on since the military and went through to the first government of Obasanjo. I could hear him last 2 days ago saying that the Nigerian people should hold the public servants responsible for the failures of the Nigerian economy. This Ribadu issue, I
want us to focus on this.
Yeah, this Ribadu issue, for me,
report
or whatsoever, they call it.
It's a report. It's not what they call it. It's a report. It's a Badu report.
Some people call it report. Some people will call it paperwork.
I can show. Yeah, the camera can point into.
Some may call it paperwork.
So anyway,
the last caller said that there are so many reports. Nothing has come out of it. Is it for me? Yeah.
Can I get a camera to show me? You said report of the Petroleum Revenue Special Task Force. It's a report.
Doctor, my view.
Yes.
My view. And my anger with the president is that for the last 5 years, there have been problems with the petroleum industry. And he has allowed Ezeani, Maduekwe Allison, to still remain as petroleum minister. It's an insult to the Nigerian people.
Okay, will you come? Let me quickly take
that woman has to go
because
she
what
has
our viewers are saying.
Nigerian ministries.
Godson, just hold that thought. Good morning, viewers. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Tunde. It's me, Dominic. Hello?
Hello, we are hearing you. Thank you.
Yeah, the first time. Let me say I'm sorry for jumping the gun for the first time.
Okay.
The reason why I was speaking like that just now, because if you now begin to compare what we are discussing now with the previous one, you discover that this will have more weight. You understand? That is why I was, trying to...
Sir, can I just say...
Look at now, if we put this issue of petroleum...
It doesn't have more weight.
You discover that our president is not doing anything towards it. It shows that we have found a distance.
Okay, thank you. I think you've made the point in terms of what you said earlier and what you were saying now. But what we are trying to show previously, what we are trying to say previously was that the issue of accountability and it has manifested itself in this particular case.
He said there that this has more weight. Actually, I don't think it does. Quite frankly, the only reason why we're talking about it is just so that those who are not aware may go and read up more about it and become aware and they're educated. But it's very embarrassing. It's humiliating. It's not worth discussing because people should be doing something and they're not doing it. It's child's play. I mean, it's a ridiculous saga that ought not to happen in the midst of such intelligent, highly educated people.
Let me come to you on this point. Yeah. My understanding of the way almost of all this report goes is that whoever wrote the report will present it to the presidency or whichever organizations that commissioned the report. Then there'll be another committee that will look at the report of the committee, and another third committee will set up. Because in the oil industry, there are already 3 reports. We have a Dika Kalu report, we have another report on NNPC, another report on oil refinery, we have another one, Lawan report on subsidy.
We forgotten the forensic report
that was done by how many reports they are going to write on a report that will, before something is done? And who's supposed to do this thing? The buck stops with the president.
Exactly. And that's where now the pressure groups we have been talking about should come in now. They should be the vigilante. They should be the people to monitor, to make sure that this report, for example, this Ribadu report does not go the same way. They can make sure, they can put pressure on the president, and the president has, the onus is on him now. The president has one task. He has to implement, he has to deal with this report. The whole country should start making this noise. This pressure group should make sure that this report is dealt with. And like you said, there is another way of diverting, distracting.
Okay,
by creating different kind of
sorry to cut you. We have a Skyper on the line. Oh, okay. I think we've lost it.
So I will come back to you. We are used to that. There have been so many reports. Even if you go to vaults, the archive where reports are, there's no more space there. And it is very sad. And that's what I'm saying. Nigerian government, the people of Nigeria should stand up and ask questions.
Okay, thank you very much.
Stand up and ask questions and say, why are we...
caller, and what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Joseph. I'm calling from London here.
Yeah, will you be kind enough to reduce the volume of your TV and then speak directly to us? That would be great if you can do that.
Hello. My name is Joseph. I'm calling from London.
Okay, Joseph.
Yeah, to start, firstly, the leaders of that country have failed us.
But what is your take on this report? Have you seen the report, or have you heard what we are talking about this report? There are so many things that this reporter has highlighted that makes me to feel ashamed, in one shape or form. I mean, how can you run a big entity like the Petroleum Ministry and NNPC, with a computer, with paper and pen?
Hello?
Yes, I'm hearing you, yeah.
In the 21st century.
Yes, you are on air. Hello?
Perhaps it's mine.
The leader of that company has failed us woefully. First and foremost, you spoke about electricity. Well, electricity and energy is the most important aspect in the country. Because if you have electricity, half of the problem of the country is solved.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Let me go to Godson on this one. The pattern is always emerging. When somebody presented a report, it's either they created, some crises or issues or things that does not, germane to that report itself, so that the substance of that report, the focus of that report is lost in the noise around. That's one pattern. Yeah. The second pattern is the administrative pattern. They will set up a committee to look at the report of the committee. In other words, you have 3 committees looking at something somebody else has report. Or, just like they did to Okuta report, they will say they don't even have a copy anymore. Those are the... So there are 3 patterns. How can we ensure, especially the civil society now, how can they ensure that they continue to agitate, make a demand, make a noise, call on, express their views on this issue? Because this is a public issue now. It's publicly available.
I'm sorry, before you answer, please.
No,
I want you to address the incompetence of the government we have today. You are starting.
I want you to answer this question.
I want you to answer the question.
Well, it's an obvious issue. Every Nigerian knows that this is an obvious issue. We're beginning to see it as a kind of a merry-go-round.
Well, I want to just a quick one. We have a Skyper on the line. Good morning, Skyper. What's your name and where are you calling from? Well, I'm sorry. We're trying to get the Skyper on the line, but before you get the Skyper, I got in. Do you want to continue with?
You see, the fact remains that the president has to come to terms with reality. He has to come to terms with reality. The act of governance demands that there should be there should be an effort in stamping an authority.
Okay, I think we've got the Skyper we've got the Skyper on the line. Good morning, Skyper. What's your name and where are you calling from? Good morning. Well, Godson, I have to come back to you again. I'm sorry that I'm doing this one to you this morning, but I think we are not getting the Skype.
On issue that affects the entire citizenry of the country. It is time that President...
Okay, I think we've got the Skype on the line. Good morning, Skype. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Okay, I think we've got the... Good morning. Good morning, Skype. What's your name? Well, I'm sorry, it's not working. We have to sort of go with Godson now. Godson is live on air now. Godson.
It's time, because it will be highly embarrassing that the government set up a committee, a huge intellectual panel of people to go and
what has come of the other committees?
No, I'm just using this as a point of reference to go into a whole huge parastatal and scan through huge magnitude of files and documents, and for months came up with a report, and yet that report is now turned into a political debate rather than an action plan.
Thank you.
To discharge what the people have said. This is the same thing that happened to Rational's panel committee on whatever subsidy.
Yeah, there's a Lawan committee. I mean, as far back as Oputa report.
For me, the president should wake up to first responsibility. Why? Every head that is responsible in what the report says should go from the bottom to the top.
Even
the minister should be the first person to leave that office.
No. Before you even do that, the list and the names of the people that are on and the company that are owing this money. They should bring the money. These are Nigerian money.
The report says that Nigeria is losing $38 billion every year from oil revenue. A report came yesterday, I read, from the Global World Political Review,
Nigeria used to be the 6th largest oil producer in the world. Now Nigeria is 14th.
No, what outlook? Prepared by International Energy Agency.
14th.
Yes.
And yesterday, a news came from Nigeria that out of the 606 oil blocks we have in Nigeria, 68 of them are closed. You get me? Yeah. And we are talking about where are we going? Where are we going into the future? China is one of the highest oil reserves. They have one of the highest oil reserves in the world. America has the highest oil reserves in the world that will last them for the next 200 years. So, do you think they're going to continue buying oil from Nigeria? Of course not. Thank you.
People are buying Nigerian oil, sweet crude, which is difficult to find elsewhere apart from Libya and in Saudi and some part of Saudi oil.
I think Qatar or something.
Nigeria has the sweet crude, which is the most demanding oil that anybody wants. You understand? So if we are wasting so much money, and the president is sitting there for the next 2 years, and is allowing Desiani, Alice Madieke, to remain as Minister of Petroleum, and killing that ministry, and helping people to become rich overnight, helping people in America, helping people in Austria, helping people in Germany to become rich overnight by using them as stooge to make oil money from Nigeria. And he's sitting down there in Aso Rock, watching her. I don't know the relationship between him and the but the fact remains that he has to move that up and down. He has to move that one up.
Let me ask
we can share your passion on this one.
What personal issues do you have with Mrs. Diaz?
Well, don't worry.
It's not an issue of personal issue. It's an issue of competency.
Because, and I understand.
She used to be an executive director in Shell before she was moved to the ministry. But she has not shown any competency.
Hold on your peace. Let's hold on to this report. Let me read one paragraph out of the report for everybody to hear and to know. Page 13 of the report, Ribadu report. Last paragraph. It says, the task force observed various estimates by international oil companies and government officials of the scale and volume of crude theft, which range from 6 to 30% of production. While the task force does not endorse any of the numbers it received, we note that it could actually be as high as 250,000 barrels per day, closer to 10% of the daily production, amounting to as high as 1 trillion naira annually. This issue, therefore, requires immediate attention.
You see, the thing is,
no,
you see, this I understand. Realizes that this is not an issue or a problem that started today, and it has been happening in our country since independence. You know, this particular office.
Before that, since 1958,
since it was discovered. You know, this has been a ministry or an office that has been so porous in this one significant office and management that is so important to the nation. Now, it's been going on like this for over 50 years now. What we need to do, it cannot be cleaned up immediately at the snap of a finger. I appreciate that, you know, the minister is found by some. I don't know her, never met her. I'm sure that the burden on her shoulders cannot be easy. I appreciate that she's found by some to be incompetent. And she appears to be demonstrating that, because there are times when they ought to. But this is the currency that runs between seemingly every office in government, in this administration. And it's about time somebody stands up and says enough is enough. Somebody needs to, exercise that authority.
Well, thank you very much. We should be going on a very short break, but before we go, let me quickly take this call. Good morning, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You're on air.
Yeah, this is from calling from London. Yeah, I just want... You said?
Turn down the volume of your
Would you mind if you can turn down the volume of your TV? It would help us to hear you and then for our viewers to hear what you're saying.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just want the rebates. So, there's one thing we want that country, Nigeria, that because the issue of the
well, I'm sorry, you are now for somebody of an actions to be done. Stand up. That was the last statement. Somebody has to stand up and bear responsibility. We only have a minute before we go on a break. What is your take?
And that's why I was suggesting that the pressure groups, because they are the one on the ground. You and I and others are here, and the teeming majority of the people have no access to these action to be taken. So that's why we are using this opportunity. I'm using this opportunity to call on the action group, the pressure groups.
The civil societies.
The civil societies and so on and so forth, to make sure that the report is dealt with. The president should show everything, should show confidence that he's up to it, to make sure that everything...
Well, I think we have an international call. Sorry to disturb you. I know that we are going on a break, but let me quickly take this international call. Good morning, caller. Where are you calling from and what's your name?
Oh, good morning. My name is Olugayo. I'm calling from Mainz-Kastel, Germany.
Okay. From Germany?
From Germany. I've been listening to you, and can we take this call now? Because I have been listening to you for a while, and my opinion is a bit scared.
You are in air from Germany. We can hear you. If you can quickly sort of say what you want to say to our viewers to hear you.
Let me take you from.
Hello.
Okay. Hello. Let me take you from this point. I've been listening to the opinions of all the three, your three
panelists.
And let me start from Sister Priscilla. I think she's the only one who seems to be following this problem from the direction that I feel it should be followed from. The first thing we should be asking ourselves here is, as a crime is committed, we have not come to this problem from this direction. This report, we have not come to it from this direction. The direction should be, as there has been a crime committed.
Sorry to interrupt you. The direction which report is pointing at is that some people are owing Nigerian money, and the list, the name is there. Yes. So whether it's a crime or not, the evidence is that some people are owing money and they need to pay.
If these people are owing money, if these people, because what we are saying, what this report says is basically people are draining the resources of Nigeria, selling it without paying the dues that they are supposed to pay. That's the bottom line of this report.
Isn't that criminal?
And this is criminal.
Yeah.
So this is criminal.
Danke schön.
And a crime has been committed. If a crime has been committed, how come the agency that is supposed to look into crime are not looking into this? Now, whether the president rejects the report or not, that is his prerogative. He has not told us why, but that is his prerogative. If he believes that this report is wrong, fine. We are not disputing that. What we are talking about here now is as there has been a crime committed, the agency that looks into crime is supposed to be independent.
Let me say something. And like I said, the caller, I live in Germany for 10.5 years. I speak German very well, and I understand the system in Germany. And I can say to you, sir, that when Angela Merkel finds something that is not in order, and he institutes a panel if she institutes a panel to find out what is wrong, if the report comes to her table, she will act on it. She is the one that is going to give direction. Do not forget that if a crime is committed, fine. In a civilized society like here, the police will investigate. They will find out. But when they investigate, they are not the one that is going to prosecute. They take the case to the CPS, isn't it? Am I right? So, but then again, they're going to be the main witness that we saw this. So what you are saying, sir, with all due respect, Ribadu has come up with a report. It has shown clearly that the large number of billions of money that we're supposed to scoop from the oil revenue has been misappropriated somehow. And he has also highlighted by pointing fingers at the people, at the organization, and how those things have been done. So what else do you want us? How else do you want criminality to be established?
Well, there are two issues here. Just let me intervene. There are two issues here. There's an issue of administrative issues in terms of the presidency commissions the reports. he got the report, now he has to act on it. That one is an established fact.
Yeah.
Now, the second question is that it needs to be found whether any criminal actions or behavior has been done or not. But the fundamental question or the issue here now is that the president now has this report. The Nigerians are asking him, what is he going to do with this report? Those that have been highlighted that they are owing Nigerian money, and this money are already, the numbers are already there.
Yes.
They know all these numbers and the people that are owing and the company that are owing. They need to take them straight away.
Money, we know that money. Excuse me, sir. Here is my point, sir. Here is my point, sir. We have this money. We say that they are owing this money. How long has this money not been paid? Has it not just been paid 4 years ago, 5 years ago? This is a practice. It is an institution that has been going on in the country since independence, according to Sister Christina, and she's 100% right. This is not a crime.
Yeah, but now we've. Sorry to interject you. Before, no,
I disagree with this. I can't disagree.
Godson.
So this is the problem. We are not talking. This is not a report that we have now. That is the problem. My gentleman here in the suit clutching the phone has been talking about the minister of.
Okay. Thank you very much for the call. We are about to go on a break now. When we come back, we're going to take it from there. I think there's a lot of passions and issues that this one has generated.
I want Priscilla to defend.
MoneyGram is here to help. That's why we offer fast and affordable money transfers around the world to bring you closer to the ones you love. MoneyGram, bringing you closer.
My name is Ade Afolabi. We speak the Queen's English. None of that hablas Espanol nonsense.
Was he rapping or talking?
We will come to New York and bless your children.
So you want to tell me that guy brought you all the way from Nigeria to this place to put me under a budget?
Man, I don't chop big chop for you.
Just because I'm Nigerian doesn't make me a criminal.
This is what you come here. How?
Hey, what the hell's the matter with you, boy?
So you want to beat me? You do not beat me in Nigeria. It is here. You want to come and beat me. Your Kozuna, eh? All right. You are in America. Use your brain. You're not in Nigeria.
I did not lay a finger on her. I didn't lay a finger on her.
Bad news is your wife filed for divorce.
I will never accept someone that has no traceable roots. Because Ade is my husband.
I did not lay a finger on you. Are you
Hey!
And hey, you got African roots too.
Attention all mobile phone users. Lebara Mobile brings you the offer you've all been waiting for. Lebara Unlimited. Unlimited Nigeria calls and texts? Check. Unlimited UK calls and texts? Check. And unlimited data? Check. All this for only £39 per month. Price limited, benefits unlimited. Get yours now at lebara.co.uk/unlimited. Also available at Carphone Warehouse and Phones for You.
You are invited to Liberty Church to experience healing, deliverance, and transformation by the power of God. Liberty Church, House of Miracles, Blessings, and Joy.
He's here to protect you, to preserve you, and to provide for you. All we need to do is praise him, pray to him, and preach his word. You will always need God. Come now and then be blessed.
Liberty Church, Frobisher Road, Turnpike Lane, N80QX. www.libertychurchlondon.org.
You're welcome back to You Decide. And the last 1 hour or so, we've been sort of talking about the issue of accountability and responsibility, and then looking at a rebuttal report. We just had the breaking news that Dr. Olushola Saraki, the former governor of Kwara State, has died. Dr. Olushola Saraki, the former governor of Kwara State, quote and unquote, the strong man of Kwara politics, has died. Well, let me come back to our panelists here. Priscilla, what's your initial thought about the death of Dr. Saraki?
Well, first of all, my condolences goes to his family, for his loss. And it will certainly it will be interesting to see what happens in Kwara State now, because the governorship of Kwara State has been a tussle in his family between himself, his children,
the sons and the daughters.
The sons and the daughters, who should go next, and so on and so forth. So, for a while there, he had this dynasty going on, and, they sort of had Kwara State. So what is going to happen now? Are his children going to be able to maintain that, or is that going to be the end of the Saraki family dynasty of ruling Kwara State?
Well, Otumba, what is your comment on the passing away of Dr. Olushola Saraki?
Well, like another thing, our condolence goes to the family first and foremost. But then again, I hope the people of Kwara, there are more people in Kwara, they are larger, the Kwarans are larger than the family of Saraki. And I think they should take this opportunity that to reorganize, to reappraise and readdress how they want to move forward, they want to elect their leaders, and also to remember that gone are the days that one single person or family can take a whole state to ransom. So it's a better time for Kwara people to look forward as to how they want to move forward to the next level.
And Godson, before I come back to you, I think it was not just only Dr. Saraki that died. I think the former governor of
Oyo State,
Alhaji Lam Adesina, died a couple of days ago as well. So we are seeing the passing away of some generations of politicians, in Nigeria. Your comments on the passing away of Dr. Olushola Saraki?
I think it's a generational thing. My heart goes to the family of Dr. Olushola Saraki, one of the foremost Nigerian bankers. You remember he brought Societe Generale to Nigeria. He led the collapse of it. And one of the foremost industrialists you have in Nigeria. And the backbone of Ilorin politics. Just like you have the Lam Adeshinas of late, and the Adedibus of old, of Ibadan. Yeah? And his mates in the north, Sule Mongunu and Matama Sule, the rest of them. And in Lagos State, Alhaji Latif Jankonde.
That one is still alive. So don't count him as part of the
dead. And our great man in the east, Alex Ekweme, who celebrated his 80th birthday. And then Obasanjo told him that he's getting closer to the door of exit when he visited him at his birthday. So our heart goes. It is very important that as our old brigade start passing out from the parade ground, that those who will be coming, the new generation lieutenants, will have something to give to the Nigerian populace.
If you look at the lives and times of Dr. Olushola Saraki, as Godson said, he was a banker, he was an industrialist, and he was a governor, executive governor of Lagos State. But over and above that, he has Kwara State. He has been the dominant figure in Kwara politics to the extent that his son became the governor of Kwara State. And then I think in the last, there was a sort of issues. It raises a bigger questions in terms of to what extent the political leaders are raising their own sons, daughters, and wives to take over from them, or are they sort of looking towards other people, enlarging the political sphere in terms of broadening, who comes to the political arena? Or is this just only for me the emergence of, political dynasty in Nigeria politics? Priscilla, if I come back to you on that one, because we have examples of governors, chaperoning his or her wife to become senators or whatever, or the governors, looking forward for his sons or uncles to become.
It's not unusual for children to take after their parents, for instance, of wanting to continue within politics or wanting to continue the same career that their parents once held. It's not unusual. But I think, you know, what we see of it in Africa is that it becomes a situation of a do or death situation where the fight is so hard, and it's a must that my son must inherit me. Where this is not an office it's not an inheritance that you can just pass on. You know, this should be determined by the vote of the people and the desire of the people. So this is where the difference is. But of course, you know, it's a normal state of affairs for any child to grow up and want to follow in their father's footsteps, but they should earn it. It shouldn't be a case where their father or their husband must, you know, now impose their wishes on the people. I think, you know, that's where, you know, you're allowed to have that desire, but you shouldn't impose it. And I think this is slowly but surely dying out.
Well, I'm not sure whether it is dying out, or I can take it on one level.
I think where it's going to be imposed, where they're able to force their way through, that, I believe, is dying out. I think we started seeing it at the last election when he was fighting so hard and demanding that his daughter must be the governor of Kwara State, and it didn't happen. And we saw that quite a bit in Nigeria. And I do believe it's dying out. And I think 2015 it's going to be a very interesting year for the country, and especially for the political elites who have this belief that is their rightful inheritance.
Well, if you look, I mean, let's be fair in terms of our analysis. If you look at the way they've structured the processes and then the amount of money they have, you know, in terms of who inherits what and who sort of becomes the next governor or the senator in the state, most of these politicians, they are very clever in terms of position. I mean, in Ogun State, you have the son of Olusegun Osoba being you have Obasanjo's daughter being in the House of Senate or Rep. Sometimes
okay, but the Nigerian public are fighting back now. That's what I'm saying. The public are fighting back. The public are becoming more educated. The public are becoming more interested, and we have to continue doing this to ensure that people are becoming more and more aware. And with that awareness, that will die.
I agree entirely with you, and that's what I said when I said now the Kwarans, the people of Kwara, they are larger than the family of Saraki, and they should take the opportunity after burying him. He's gone now. They should take the opportunity or the advantage that now the lives. I mean, their lives is in their own hands.
Okay, thank you. But let me quickly
who's going to be there.
Let me quickly take this call. Good morning, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning, I'm Stanley. I'm calling from Northampton. Please, I'd like to know whether you have verified the situation about the death of Olusola Saraki, because about an hour ago, the TV station made the correction that he did not actually die. Okay. That a government official called them to correct them that the Baba had not died.
Well, thank you very much for that insight. We will verify whether that was true or not. I mean, for that particular aspect, because we are getting some conflicting news based on what you said now, that a TV stations in Nigeria confirmed that Olusola Saraki was not there. But based on the information I had about 10 minutes ago, it was that Dr. Olusola Saraki is dead. But thank you very much for that. We need to confirm that one. Just for the benefit of our viewers, we need to confirm whether Dr. Olusola Saraki is dead or not, because one of the callers just said that is yet to be confirmed. So can we quickly find a way of confirming that, please? Otumba.
Well, again, like I think the well, anyway, let's put it this way, quickly. Now, we've been through this as African and as...
Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe died several times.
Several times.
He was the only Nigerian president that died several times.
And also,
I announced on NTA several times.
And came out to announce it. Yes. I agree with the last caller. And also, it was rumored...
J. will not die.
And it was also, last year, it was rumored that Mama H.I.D. Awolowo died, even though she's still alive. We spoke with her virtually every other day. Now, these are rumors, but at the end of the day, if he's still alive, I will still wish him more long life. One guarantee is we are all going to die anyway. So whenever he passes on, I want the Kwara people to take advantage.
Whenever he passes on.
Well, I mean, we have to give him the benefit of the doubt now.
If he has and he has not, but whenever it happens, the Kwara people are the more, my own interest, is after how best the Kwara.
You want to say a few words?
I think going back to what Priscilla said earlier on with regards to this hierarchical arrangement of leadership in Nigeria in terms of family heritage, I think is gradually dying off.
Okay.
Because this is one of the benefits endowed to most of these old brigades, politicians, and money bags we had in Nigeria then. Because if you look to the recent generation politicians, I don't think any one of them has any children they are training. If they intend to train.
Yeah, well, some people will say it's in early stages for some of them. We only have 2 minutes to
go. Their fate in politics will be determined by the populace.
Yeah, we have
not by their fathers.
We have 2 minutes to go now.
You know?
I want you to sort of reflect on what we've discussed today. What is your last take for today's program, Priscilla?
My last take for today actually is a matter that we haven't touched on, and that is that I just wonder why when the minority cast the majority vote in America, why fear is trembling.
Okay, well, maybe that is for another day. That's a program for another day.
But take care of yourselves.
What's your last take for the day?
Yeah, my last take is we try to touch the area of how government officials should see themselves as the servants of the people, and when they make mistake, when they are in position of power, they should consider that they are representing the majority of the people. And
Thank
when
you
they
very
do
much
anything
for
wrong,
that.
they should see them
Well,
as
Godson,
accountable.
what is your last take for today?
Well, my last take is to the President of the Nigerian Republic, Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan. If one arm is dead in the body is not complete. You have a ministry that everybody is complaining about.
You're talking about Ministry for Petroleum. You have to finish it quickly.
There have been so many committees from that ministry indicting heavy amount of money on individuals and entire staffs and the public. That means that the person in charge of that ministry has not shown any sign of competency. And you promise the Nigerian people that you will always appraise your cabinet and shuffle those who are not performing.
Okay,
and
thank you very much.
We are begging you, Mr. President, please, in the name of God, help the Nigerian people to help your party.
Okay, thank you very much, Godson. Before I say thank you to all our viewers, somebody says that history does not only offer us lessons, but it contains some warning signs. The signs are there for Nigerians. The report from Ribadu says that some people are owing Nigerian money. These are Nigerian money. So the president, the buck stops with you in terms of how we get this money and then implement the Ribadu report. Well, Priscilla, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for
Otumba,
having me.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Godstein, thank you very much. Hopefully you will not work for the Department for Petroleum in Nigeria.
Well, if they offer me, I will do that.
Well, it's been a very good program on You Decide. Well, hopefully we hope to see you next week. And thank you very much for everybody that has contributed. And we wish you a good day ahead. Goodbye. My name is Tunde Ido.
MoneyGram is here to help.